He sits in his favorite chair, eyes fixed on the evening news. She stands at the window, stirring her tea, but not drinking it. They're in the same room, but they might as well be in different worlds. No arguments, no shouting, just silence. Do you want dinner? I ate earlier. Okay. And that's it. Not because they're angry, but because after 50 years together, they've run out of words. This is the silent truth many couples face after 70. Not divorce. Not dramatic fights, but a slow fade from connection to coexistence. She used to care what he thought. He used to ask how her day was. Now they pass each other in the hallway like quiet ghosts. He stopped talking. She stopped caring. The love is still there, somewhere, but the bridge between them collapsed, without a sound. You might be feeling this too. Maybe you still sleep in the same bed. Maybe you still share dinner. Maybe you even laugh at the same memories sometimes. But deep down, you know something changed. You feel more alone with your spouse than when you're actually alone. You crave warmth, not just routine. You remember how it used to be, and wonder, is it too late to bring any of it back? Let me say this clearly. Emotional distance after 70 is not inevitable. It's common, but it's not permanent. Marriage doesn't stop needing care just because the kids are grown and the mortgage is paid. In fact, it may need more attention now than ever. In this video, we're going to talk about something few people admit. What happens when the talking stops and love becomes silent survival? You'll learn why couples stop communicating after decades together, what makes women emotionally check out after trying for years, the quiet pain behind older marriages that look fine on the outside, and how to reconnect, even if it's been years since your last real conversation. Because marriage after 70 doesn't have to feel like an obligation. It can feel like companionship again, if you're both willing to open one small door. People often say, at least we don't fight anymore. We've grown past the drama. We just enjoy the quiet now. But here's a question. Is it real peace? Or just polite distance? There's a kind of silence in long-term marriages that doesn't calm you. It unsettles you. You sit next to each other and feel the weight of all the words you're no longer saying. Here's what silence can really mean in a relationship after 70. We've stopped asking each other real questions. We've stopped sharing how we feel. We avoid topics that used to matter. We assume we already know what the other will say. We feel unseen, even when sitting side by side, and slowly, a dangerous belief takes root. It's too late to change anything. Small diamond, the shift from conflict to disconnection. When you're younger, you fight. You slam doors. You say too much. It's messy, but at least it's emotional. At least you still care. But as the years go by, many couples grow tired of the cycle. They stop trying to fix. They stop trying to be understood. Instead, they retreat into silence, into routine, into safe, comfortable emotional distance. And while this may look like peace from the outside, inside, it feels like this: eating dinner without eye contact, talking only about weather, errands, and TV shows, laughing at the same joke, but never asking, how are you, really? Sitting in the same house, but living completely separate emotional lives. This is not aging together. This is aging apart, in the same room. Small diamond, why this hurts women deeply. Many women, especially after 60, begin to feel a new kind of loneliness. Not because they're isolated, but because they feel unreachable in their own marriage. She remembers when he noticed her mood, asked about her day, touched her hand at random, made her feel like a woman, not just a roommate. Now, she's the one who makes sure the medicine is taken, the one who cooks, the one who reminds him of appointments. Useful, necessary, but no longer loved out loud. This is where the caring fades, not because she stopped loving him, but because she stopped feeling loved back. I used to try, but he never noticed. So now, I just don't bother. Let's be honest. A marriage doesn't fall apart with one big moment. It fades through thousands of missed chances to connect. The hug you didn't give, the question you didn't ask, the apology you swallowed, the silence you let stretch one more night. But even if it's been years, that bridge isn't gone, it's just buried. And in the next part, we'll look at why this happens, and the 5 hidden reasons older couples stop truly talking to each other. Because once you name the silence, you can begin to break it. If you asked them, they wouldn't even know when it started. There wasn't one fight, one moment, one big betrayal, just a slow drifting apart. A quiet shift from conversation to convenience. He stopped asking, she stopped sharing, and eventually, they stopped noticing the gap between them. Let's break it down. Here are 5 real reasons why older couples, even loving ones, quietly stop talking after 70. Small diamond 1. We've already said it all. After decades together, it feels like you've covered every topic. The big dreams have either happened or they haven't. The children are grown. The routines are set. So you tell yourself, what's left to talk about? But that's the trap. Because conversation isn't just about news or schedules. It's about curiosity, interest, connection. And when that curiosity dies, so does the desire to be known again. Small diamond 2. Unresolved hurt that was never voiced. Many older couples carry emotional debts they never paid off. A betrayal that was never really forgiven. A moment of pain that was dismissed. A request for love or affection that was met with silence. So instead of healing it, they bury it. And over time, that buried hurt becomes a wall. One that grows thicker with every unspoken word. What's the point of bringing it up now? He'll never understand. I've moved on, or at least I pretend I have. But the body remembers. The heart keeps score, and silence becomes a shield. Small diamond 3. Emotional fatigue. I'm just tired of trying. Especially for women, there often comes a breaking point. She's tried. She's initiated. She's expressed. She's asked for more. And for years she's felt unheard, unseen. Eventually she tells herself, I'll just stop asking. It hurts less that way. It's not that she doesn't care. It's that she's tired of caring alone. Small diamond 4. Distraction and avoidance through routine. Many older couples fill their time with activity. TV, chores, news, appointments, phone calls with others. Not because they're busy, but because they're avoiding intimacy. Routine becomes the excuse not to engage emotionally. It's easier to talk about weather and doctor visits than to say, I feel distant from you. Do you miss me? Are we okay? Small diamond 5. Fear of rocking the boat. At this age, peace feels more valuable than honesty. So we avoid uncomfortable topics. We suppress frustration. 2. We choose silence over potential conflict. But that peace, it's often just emotional numbness wearing a quiet smile. If I say how I feel, it might upset him. It's too late to change now. Better to just let things be. And yet, every year that silence grows heavier, until 2 people in the same house feel like strangers. But here's the truth. Even the quietest couples can learn to speak again. Even the most distant hearts can reconnect. Gently. In the next part, we'll meet George and Mary, a couple who stayed married for over 50 years, but nearly forgot how to love. And what happened when one of them finally said, Can we talk? George and Mary have been married for 52 years. To outsiders, they're the perfect example of growing old together. They raised children, took trips, paid off the house, retired quietly. They eat dinner at 6 p.m. sharp. They go to bed at 9 o'clock. They never fight. And yet, Mary feels lonelier sitting beside George than when he's not home at all. She remembers a time when he would light up when she entered the room. When he would take her hand without asking. When he noticed her new haircut. or the sadness in her voice. But now, she speaks. He nods. She asks. He grunts. She wants connection. But he's buried in the newspaper, and so she stopped trying. Mary didn't fall out of love. She fell out of hope. Hope that he'd notice. Hope that he'd ask. Hope that something could still change. He's not cruel, she says. He's just distant. And I'm tired of reaching across that gap. Meanwhile, George would say, she doesn't smile at me like she used to. She's always cold, always busy with her shows or the kids. I don't know what she wants anymore. Maybe nothing. He doesn't realize she's withdrawn because she feels alone. He thinks she's cold, but she's just numb. Worn down by years of unmet emotional needs. What went wrong? Nothing explosive. Nothing dramatic. Just small daily choices to avoid each other. To not ask. To not share. To settle for habit instead of heart. And this is where many older couples find themselves. Still married. Still functional, but emotionally divorced. One morning, Mary sat at the kitchen table and quietly said, "Do you ever miss talking to me?" George looked up, surprised. He hadn't realized how much time had passed since they'd had a real conversation. That moment, that question, became their doorway. Not a dramatic fight, not a long speech, just one simple, brave sentence. Do you miss us? And that's how reconnection begins. Not with blame, not with accusations, but with curiosity, with vulnerability. Mary and George didn't magically fix everything, but they started having tea together again. Started asking each other one meaningful question a day. Started noticing instead of assuming. Think of your own relationship or one you've witnessed. Have you stopped asking how your partner feels because you assume you know? Have you stopped sharing your own thoughts because you don't think they care? Have you grown used to silence and started calling it peace? These are signs of distance, not failure. And where there's distance, there's still room to move closer again. In the next part, we'll explore why women so often emotionally check out in older marriages and what it really means when she stops caring. Because silence is rarely the beginning. It's the final chapter of not being heard. She didn't stop caring overnight. It happened in quiet stages, over months, years, maybe decades. She once wanted to talk. She once longed to be heard. She once waited for him to notice. But each time he didn't. Each time she spoke into silence. Each time she was met with a blank stare or a dismissive reply. Her heart pulled back just a little more, until one day she stopped trying. Small diamond. It's not rejection. It's emotional fatigue. She got tired of repeating herself, explaining her feelings, asking for affection, feeling like a burden in her own marriage. So she made a silent decision. If I'm going to be alone in this, I might as well stop expecting anything. She didn't stop caring because she's cold. She stopped caring to protect herself from disappointment. And that is something many men never realize in time. Small diamond. What men often misunderstand. He thinks she's distant because she's changed. Evide. He thinks she's withdrawn because she's moody. He thinks she's fine with silence because she doesn't complain anymore. But what he's really seeing is emotional self-protection. She tried. She gave. She hoped. And eventually, she went numb. There's a term therapists use. Learned emotional helplessness. It happens when someone feels their needs are never met, no matter how many times they ask. Eventually, they stop asking. Then they stop feeling. And then, they stop believing that closeness is even possible. In long marriages, this often shows up in small ways. She no longer asks him to join her on a walk. She doesn't bring up meaningful topics, just schedules. She stops reaching out physically. She seems fine, but emotionally absent. And if no one says anything, this becomes the new normal, a marriage where everything looks okay. But the heart of the relationship has quietly left the room. Speech balloon. One woman said it like this: "He thought I was okay because I stopped complaining. What he didn't see was I had already given up." And by the time some men realize it, the damage is deep. Not because she hates him, not because she's angry, but because she spent too many years feeling alone while sitting beside him. But here's the hopeful part. If she's still in the room, if she still makes dinner, still folds your shirt, still listens to the sound of your voice, then she hasn't completely left. There's still a door open, even if just a crack. And in the next part, we'll talk about how to step through that door, not by fixing everything overnight, not by grand gestures, but with one honest sentence at a time. Let's be honest. When silence has lasted for years, it can feel awkward, even scary, to speak again. You wonder, where do I even begin? Will it feel forced? What if nothing changes? But reconnection doesn't happen with grand speeches or therapy buzzwords. It starts with small, intentional actions that tell your partner, "I still see you, I still want to know you, and I haven't given up." Here are 4 gentle ways to begin that process even after decades of emotional distance. Small diamond. Step 1. Replace routine with presence. Just once a day. Don't try to overhaul your entire relationship overnight. Just change one moment of your day. Instead of eating dinner in front of the TV, sit across from each other. Instead of saying goodnight and turning away, touch their hand for just a moment. Instead of going separate ways in the morning, ask, "What's on your mind today?" Tiny gestures say something bigger. "I'm willing to make room for you again." Small diamond. Step 2. Ask one curious, non-critical question. Many couples stop talking because they fear judgment or disinterest. But what if you ask something that invites, not interrogates? Try, "What's something you wish we still did together?" What memory makes you smile when you think of us? Have I done something lately that made you feel distant from me? These aren't accusations. They're invitations. They tell your partner, "I care enough to ask, and I'll listen without defense." Small diamond. Step 3. Say one true thing out loud, even if it's hard. Reconnection requires vulnerability. It might sound like, "I miss the way we used to hold hands. I feel like we've become strangers, and that makes me sad. I'm not blaming you, but I don't want us to stay like this." Yes, it takes courage. Yes, it might feel awkward. But this is how the silence breaks. Not with noise, but with truth. Small diamond. Step 4. Make space for a weekly moment. Pick one moment a week, just 15 minutes, for emotional connection. No TV, no distractions, no problem solving. Just talk, or sit together, or listen to music you both used to love. Consistency is more powerful than intensity. Because the goal isn't to fix everything. It's to remind each other. There's still something between us, even if it's quiet, even if it's small. And I want to protect it. You may be surprised what happens after just a few small efforts. He starts looking you in the eye again. She starts smiling when you enter the room. The conversations that once felt impossible begin to return. And no, it won't be the same as it was at 30 or 40. It might be better, because this time, your connection is a choice, not a habit. In the final part, we'll wrap it all up, because it's never too late to say, "I still choose you. I still want this to feel real. I still believe in us." Even if the words are rusty, even if the silence has lasted years. What matters most is that you're willing to try. Let's end with a truth few people say out loud. Love doesn't disappear after 70. It doesn't fade because of age. It fades because of neglect. Not on purpose, not out of malice, but slowly, through silence, routine, and emotional distance. But here's the miracle. It doesn't take a lifetime to rebuild connection. Sometimes all it takes is one moment of honesty, one touch, one memory, one sentence like, "I've missed us. Do you remember how we used to be? I don't want to just grow old next to you. I want to feel close again." That's how love begins to return. Not with fireworks, but with small, consistent signs of life. You've been through so much together. You've survived illness, disappointments, raising children, losing friends. You've built a home, a story, a life. Don't let it end in emotional silence. Even if the flame is small, protect it, feed it, speak to it. Because that person across the room, they're not just your spouse. They're still the one who once made your heart race. They're still the only one who truly knows your whole history. And deep down, you both still want to be seen, to be heard, to be loved, out loud. So start today. Say something. Ask something. Open a door, even just a little. Because it's never too late to say, "I still care. I still want us." Let's not spend the rest of our years in silence. Marriage after 70 doesn't have to feel like the end. It can be a new beginning. If you're brave enough to talk again, speech balloon. Tell us in the comments, have you ever felt like your partner stopped seeing you? Or that silence became the new normal? Share your story. Someone else may need to hear it too. Right finger. And if this video moved you, subscribe to Speech Balloon Longevity Talks Herb for honest conversations about aging, relationships, and emotional healing. Because you're never too old to feel deeply connected again.